Hello, folks. We're back again. I'm here with my buddy Owen from Organic Cardboard.
Hi.
And I have just shown him this new game, Volfyirion Guilds. And we'll get it into the camera. Yes, there we go. Volfyirion. That's really tight. Is it upside down? Okay. It doesn't matter.
Volfyirion.
I kept... So, this is kind of... This is sort of a reimagining of a game from like 4 or 5 years ago. So the first one was just called Volfyirion. And it's based around these games from Tabula Games. It's an Italian company, and they have this sort of Mysthea universe. That's where all this great artwork comes from. There's a game called Mysthea, and then after that they had a Kion. I think this came... This takes place before the events of Mysthea, if you're looking into the lore, and they even have a role playing game and everything. So they built out this universe pretty well.
Sounds like it.
In fact, this came with an art book. If you saw my unboxing for this, it came with an art book that I thought was just talking about the art, but no, it's actually the whole story. Like they go through all this story. It's actually a really interesting kind of a storybook built into it. So.
Did this come out before Mysthea and what's it called?
Mysthea was first. I can't remember if Kion came out before this one did, or if they came out around the same time. I kind of think it was this thing and then Kion. But so this game is so all those games play differently, and in fact, Mysthea and Kion can merge together into another kind of whole different kind of game. This one stands on its own. It started off as just Volfyirion, and then about 2 years ago, they came back and said, "Well, we're going to make it Volfyirion Guilds," which is almost the same, except for there's a couple of mechanics that I think added a great deal of depth to the game. We'll get more into that in a second. But it also within the campaign, it had an opportunity to do the big box, which I've got an unboxing and a bitching about the big box, and
unboxing/bitching.
And it's got some and it added some little elements that you could add to the game, like these mats and these little tokens and stuff that you can use to kind of represent or to help you count up the points that you're going to use for things. There's I really felt like this added a lot. Like we really liked Volfyirion just as it was, but this added quite a bit more to it, and it's arguably the better buy. I think like if I had the choice between the two, I'd definitely just go with this one.
Yeah, I know the mechanics that I saw so far, like that I can tell were from what Sean told me. I wouldn't want to play the game without him. So after I've never played the original, and so playing this, I can already say I wouldn't want to go back.
Yeah.
Or go to, or whatever,
Well, that makes me wonder too, because like there's a whole, I'm not sure what I do with the other box set. So the original copy of it, you had this one little box, and then if you wanted to play 4-player, you could extend it out and just do 2 more boxes. I don't know if I could. Those boxes had a lot of the core hand, so that would give you another set of those things, I guess. Yeah. And then you'd just be using these cards. A lot of these cards seem very different than the original Volfyirion.
Yeah, the mechanics might not. Because it seems like if you're playing with the other ones, from what I can tell, is that they would be inferior probably to the ones that are coming from the guilds.
Yeah. Well, the original game was fun. If you see it out there on sale, I'm wondering if the price is just going to drop on all the original versions of it and stuff. Definitely worth picking up to see maybe if you like this game. This does add 2 things. One is the vault, which will allow you to lock a command card.
That's good.
Yeah. The command card is a card with this symbol on the top of it. When you see one of those, you can lock it into your vault, and it'll be there. Of course, there are cards that will allow that card in that vault to be destroyed. The other thing that vault does is as it's sort of a catch-up mechanism. So as you start losing cities, it gives you more and more options to get more points or quome or whatever, knowledge points or monies or whatever. So that's kind of the other thing that they added was the agent card. These agent cards have this symbol on top, and what they're able to do is go into the action deck and kind of tie up a card or make someone have to defeat them to get to a card. So you can kind of protect a card maybe that you want to get next round. And they have the ability, if their value is higher than the card you put it on, then you get to just take that card. So you're kind of pre-buying a card too without spending any money.
Yes, yeah, and then they have a defense value on them as well. And so you can, if you have the combat point, you've got 3 resources that are coming out in the game. You either got money, or you've got knowledge points that you're moving the dragon around with, or changing stuff on your selection of market choices, or you've got combat points. And so if you've got the combat points and you've got the enough to defeat their agent, you can just remove. Well, no, it goes back to your discard.
Yeah, it goes back to the discard.
You throw it back into their discard pile, and then you get to keep them from getting that card for free on their next turn.
You send them home.
Send them back.
I played this game quite a bit, and I think my favorite mechanic in this game is the chaining of abilities. You can use the different colored flags as you start to lay them out into your cities and stuff. You can use them to kind of combo up different game effects and stuff, and sometimes really surprise your enemies with really cool effects.
Yeah, so like you'll always have, well, not always, but most of the cards are going to have like a primary ability that they're doing, and then underneath of them are those little flag color effects. And so if you've got 2 other cards already played out, either stuck in your vault, or if you've got cards that are sitting on your cities, and they've got a particular flag color that matches the secondary ability of one of your other cards, then you get to just claim that secondary ability without necessarily spending your cards off to do that. So that's nice.
One thing that I have to try to remember too is that you can't use an ability if your card calls for a flag that happens to be on the same card. You can't use those 2 together. But so it has to be from other places. But anyway, that's my favorite mechanic. Did you have one?
Yeah, well, mine's definitely the guild vault itself. So, like we'd already pointed out, you have your guild vault. Everybody, that can't be destroyed. It's always out. And then I've played these different deck. Well, I haven't played a lot of deck building games. But one of the things that like kind of stinks when you're playing a deck building game, you got one really good card, but you've got a deck that's full. You got 20, 30 cards in your deck. Then it's not going to come out very often, but that means that you can lock it in place in your vault, and then its effect is always can rely on that coming out. So that's really nice. I really enjoyed that a lot, and it came into play a lot during the game. And then you've got those cards that you look around for that are going to remove those vault cards, because some of them are like extremely powerful. Like I had one that was extremely powerful.
Oh yeah.
That allowed me to move the dragon for free. Stick that in my vault, and it's just I'm always able to keep the pressure on Sean with this dragon that will just destroy everything if it's left on the cities. So,
and by the time I got rid of the card, he'd figured out a way to get enough knowledge points to just keep doing that.
Yeah, so
and that eventually whittled me down, because I had. You can get into the spiral with this game where you're like so much on defense that you can't catch up.
Yeah,
that's happened to me a couple of times even before this expansion and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like the decisions you're making are really important. They're really key, and you can't hold back when you get like some of the cards are overpowered, but you have to just use them.
Yeah,
because that's the way you defeat the enemy. It's just no mercy. You've got to go in and do it.
Now, my other thing too that I really like about the game mechanics. Now, this is new, correct? That you get there's a like a one-time ability that you get when you purchase the card, when you acquire the card. In one manner or another.
I kind of think so. I don't remember that from the other one.
Yeah, I really like that a lot, because sometimes you're pushed to want to buy a card that you don't really care about, but it gives you that one extra thing to do that turn. That's really helpful, especially if it happens to be like remove a vault card or something similar to that. So I really like that a lot. Or if it, like this particular Quomvoyant character here can get 3 of those knowledge points. They call them knowledge points.
Yeah.
So, and then if you have 8 of them, you can move the dragon off of his lair into their space, and then that means the next turn they've got to be able to spend 8 knowledge points to move them off, or else their whole city's destroyed. You basically got 3 cities, 3 bases, so to speak, that you're trying to destroy from the other person, and so once they're all gone, you win.
Yeah.
So the dragon puts a lot of pressure on you to survive if you've got it in your cities.
It's an interesting theme with the dragon. The dragon's sort of the center of this, and we're all I think in the story, what we all want is to have just total control over the dragon, because it's that big axe that you wield on other people.
Yeah.
Now it's not an insurmountable thing to come up with 8 and get them to move, but you will end up in a pinch eventually.
Yeah.
If you're always under the threat of that thing, it's really bad. The other thing that can happen too is so you can go to the dragon's lair and get these things called wonders, and wonders are like magic items in this universe. You can take those wonder cards and lock them in to your play area after you draw them up. And when you do that, they're usually, a lot of them have some really good effects, and you can become dependent on the things that they're giving you. Then your opponent, if they maybe don't have enough to send the dragon, if they just have 3 or 4, can just randomly lock up those resources of yours. So that's another chain that can happen, where you're just like, you're spending all your knowledge points, just keep making sure they don't have the ability to use theirs for anything.
Right. Yeah.
And then you're constantly, so if you can you got to get your opponent where they're spending their knowledge points on other things besides sending the dragon to eat you.
Yeah.
Or you're just always going to be dealing with that. If you got up enough strength, you could actually defeat the dragon and then use his lair as one of your cities, which is an interesting way to finish out a game too. But it's
now, if you defeat the dragon, he's no longer going to be a threat in the game.
Right, and all the rest of those magic items go away, and his city just he's basically, his lair is a city too. That's going to give you 4 attack points each round.
Yeah, so if you go real heavy on attacking things a lot, then eventually you could re-up on a base that you lost, which is nice. It kind of gives you a whole extra base to deal with. A whole extra, I guess I should be calling them cities in this game.
Cities, yeah.
I want to call them bases because the city mechanic, where you're trying to defeat 3 cities to win the game, is really reminiscent to me of Radlands, where you've got 3 bases, and so I keep thinking of the 3 bases from Radlands, which I haven't gotten Sean to play just yet, but I've talked about it a bit.
We'll try
eventually.
I don't think there's any much more to talk about with the mechanics of this. It's pretty easy to pick up. It's intuitive. It's got sort of a limited icon set that makes it easier to pick up and makes sense. Their little player aid cards are great. They kind of lay out some of the particulars of the game, and all the icons are listed on the back of this, so that you'll be able to know what all you need to do.
Yeah, and I feel like the ease of the game, the deck building, sometimes deck building can be a little intimidating depending. I always think of Dominion whenever I'm thinking of any big deck building comparisons. And it can be a little intimidating, or you need that experience playing Dominion in order to kind of know how to build your deck. You almost have to just play through and lose a few games to start feeling how that works. With this one, I think you don't really have to know how to build a deck really well in order to take some obvious choices that are going to be available for you. So I thought that was kind of nice, as far as coming into a new deck building game without having to be overly invested in it to do fairly well.
Well, the things that trigger with the flags and stuff, it's pretty simple. Real easy icons to kind of pick up on. yeah, you get something and you see its secondary ability and you're like, oh, maybe I should buy more of those other cards to make sure that happens. Or
Right.
maybe the card that you lock in is something that triggers a whole bunch of stuff. You got a whole bunch of stuff that triggers on purple flags. You lock a purple one in there and then hope somebody doesn't destroy it.
Yeah. So you kind of know what to go for at that point. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is. It's a relative. I mean, I don't know. It's relatively light game. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's pretty light.
Heavier into light, lightest into medium kind of level. So.
And there's lots of expansions to explore in this that I haven't really tried at all. These tokens were actually pretty handy for counting up your points and stuff. They used to have, I guess they still have an app that you can use to do it too. I like this. I like the tactile feel of this a lot better, counting up and just trying to sort out what kind of points I've got to spend.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about that too, like it'd almost been easier to just have had like some dials, like a little dial slider that you're using, because it does. Once you get towards the end of the game, you're like, okay, I've got 9, and then you're counting up all your cards, which that's going to happen anyways. It's going to take you a second to count up all the cards that you're playing and that you already have out. But these,
so like a triangle with 3 dials would probably have done it too.
Yeah, that would have worked fairly well. But also, like, you're doing it a lot. Maybe it's going to get kind of beat up.
And how high did the dials go? And
yeah, and it could get kind of beat up by the end of it. But like at the beginning of the game, I was like, why are we, I can just count up all these on my card. But once you start having a lot of stuff on the board, then you will start using these little counters to keep up with what you have and then what you're spending. They are useful. I'm definitely glad there's something here to be able to count those with. And is this a deluxe thing, or does this come with the?
Yeah, that was this. It was this extra box set called Talera's Treasure or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of those fan requested add-ons.
They treasured wooden pieces.
Yeah. We need some wooden chunks in this game.
Yeah.
They got the neoprene. They're kind of trying to touch all the bases here.
Yeah.
They come with there's custom sleeves you can buy for this too. I've just used some Amazon sleeves, but
yeah, they worked well.
All right, well, folks, it's a solid game. I especially like this. I don't play a lot of deck builders though. I guess my only other deck builder I'm really super familiar with maybe is Clank, and I've played that only like 3 times. But but I remember it a lot. I remember liking it, and we played this. Holly and I dueled on this many times. We really liked this game, or we liked the other version. She hasn't tried the new one, so thanks for trying it out with me.
Thanks for showing it to me.
This is my first time. I played the Volfyirion a lot. This is my first time playing it with the extra stuff. The extra stuff. They definitely spent some time making the game a little bit better, and I appreciate that. I think you did a good job making a good game even better somehow, and not really that big a box. There's a tiny box. If you go with this, there's a big box full of a bunch of stuff. If you want, check out that video. I'll be sure to tell you more about all the different expansions inside. Okay, folks, so that's all we've got for you today. If you'd like to see the big box opening for this, there, Holly and I opening that box right there, and over here's something that YouTube thinks you'll like, and I promise not to tell your mom what just popped up right there. If you'd like to subscribe to us, we'd love to see you again. Until next time, enjoy your games, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.